Welcome, fellow makers and Vader enthusiasts. Welcome to my little maker spot. I want to show you today how to make Darth Vader leg shins. Now, I do Empire Strikes Back Vader. I've been trooping for a number of years, and at one event, broke both my shins. Both of them snapped at the very bottom. A whole piece of the bottom shin snapped off on both of my Vader shins. Now, that is really strange. I don't know what happened, but anyway, it gave me the reasoning to make a new set of shins. I printed these originally with 20% infill. If you're a 3D print maker, then you'll know exactly what I mean by that. The ones that I've been making, these new ones, these have got 100% infill. So these are solid. Weight-wise, not much in it, but you can feel there's just that little bit of extra weight. So I want to walk you through how to make your Vader shins. So just let me get rid of those. Those are now kaput and done. I have finished one of my shins, which is now fully attached. And so I've got the bits to put together the new shin, the remaining shin. So I thought I'd walk through with you how to do it. Now, when you're 3D printing your shins, the way you can't just simply print a shin. The height is too high for a regular printer, and you wouldn't ever really want to print it like this because it's not flat. The shin isn't flat. It looks like it could be, but it's not, and the width then still would be too wide. So you're going to need to print your shin in two pieces. I have a misprint here. So in theory, that should be one piece of shin, and then you have the second piece that then glued together. I had a misprint and thought I might try and do it in three pieces, and then I gave it. I thought, why am I mucking about when I could be doing it exactly, properly? So I started all over. I started completely again. But you'll see the footage on the screen. What I did was I took the shin into Tinkercad and simply just cut it down the middle, so that those shins could then be printed standing up. So that's what I did. Cut the shins in half. I cut the shins. I chose to cut the shins quite high up the shin. I'll explain why. My previous shins, I made the mistake of having the cut in the middle. Now, what I found was they actually did split. I did an event where I got into a fireman's truck. I knocked my shin on the step and just the edge of it split. And I realised it had split down where I glued it together. And so I knew this time I didn't want to do that. I want to make sure that the point where the join was on the shin was a non-stressed point. If that kind of makes sense to you. So if you were to knock your shin in the middle and that's where your seam is, it might give way. So I made the seams higher up the shin where there was going to be no pressure kind of put on that seam. I also, once I glued it, I also then put some epoxy resin inside it as well to strengthen it. So cut your shin at a point that you know that's going to be a good non-stressed point. Glue them together. I have glued them together using the regular super glue, and then I have strengthened it on the inside using epoxy resin and let that set. And so they've sealed and they're nicely solid. Once they are all glued together, you do the normal thing with 3D printing where you sand, you spray with filler primer, you sand, filler primer, over and over and over and over. You do that as usual. What I did then was I painted the shin. So I want to talk you through two products that I used. Really important for me. So I love using Rust-Oleum's Chalkboard paint. It essentially is just a matte black paint. And it's a really good, solid matte black paint. Vader shins are not matte black. Yes, I know that. But the lovely thing about this is it is sandable. So if you have a run and that kind of thing, you can sand it very easily and kind of paint back over. In some ways, it behaves a bit like a primer, although I did use a primer as well. The next step was I used this on all of my Death Trooper build, as well as my Vader build. I used this SprayMax 2-part spray. It comes with this little cap that goes at the bottom. You use that to smack the can. It obviously breaks an extra canister that's inside there, and it's a 2-part gloss sealant, and then you shake it, it mixes it together. You get 2 days out of this, that's it. So I ended up using it on a few other bits and pieces as well. But this is the best. I used this on my previous shins, and what I noticed was they just did not scuff. You want a high gloss. And I painted these with that probably 4 coats. So thick coats. And this is how it came out. And I think it's a lovely, good black gloss shine. Now you could say, Chris, I'm just going to paint it with black gloss paint. You are very welcome to do that. But I wanted... so the original shins for Vader were made with a high glossed ABS plastic. So I wanted to have that same kind of sheen. That's what I was going for. So that's what we get to here. Where I'm up to is these now need strapping. And what I put inside is it's slightly spongy. It's very hard to explain. I don't know where I got this stuff from. I first started using this on my Death Trooper builds. Inside the armor is a bit of padding, and I just think it's brilliant. I used it on my original Vader shins. All I need to do now is attach the strapping and the clips. Now let me talk you through the strapping and the clips for a minute. The way to do this is regular black webbing. It's inch wide. I've bought here way more than I needed because this is the kind of thing I love to just keep in a box, and I'd run out of it. So I think I bought maybe 5 meters of the stuff when you really only need maybe 2 meters max. So it's black webbing, and then it's using these clips that allow you to then clip your shins around. So let me just show you this one that's finished. So those both come off, shin. And then when you're trooping, so this isn't quite how it was in the movie, but it's not far off because it was 2 black straps that went round. But obviously these are plastic clips, which they won't have had at the time, like this. So there you go. So it just clips on. The lovely thing about this is you can extend them and shorten them depending. So depending on which Vader boots I wear, I do need to change them just slightly. This is a newer pair that I'm putting together. So what we now need to do is essentially glue these in place, these 2 straps, and then we're going to hot glue the inner sponge layer to it as well. So why don't we do that? Now let me just get rid of some of these bits. My hot glue is ready to go. The other thing I use is a bit of masking tape. So what I want to make sure is that the centerpiece of my strap, you want to have the clip at the back, not at a side. So essentially what you are wanting to do is make sure that that center line is where you glue it on the strap, so the straps are even each side. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that when this is clipped together, the ends are on the inside. So when they're clipped and you're wearing them, any ends that you've got are neatly inside the strap, not on the outside of the strap. It's just tidier that way. So what I do, having put some super glue down, pop it in place, and all I'm going to do is use a little bit of masking tape to just hold it in place for me. So I'm going to do exactly the same. Next bit of the journey is going to be just gluing this inner cushion layer on. Now what I did was I laid this on the material just so I could cut out the shape so it matched. So I know that this is perfect for inside, so it's going to look like that. Now what I did, friends, was I start at one end and I work down. So using the hot glue gun, where's my boots from? They're actually from Russia. I found a Russian website pre-pandemic that was selling these Russian military boots. Doesn't exist anymore. So I was so chuffed that I'd actually picked these up and I was able to just have them sitting around. There we go. So new Vader Shins. There's a lot I could say about Vader Shins. A lot I could say about Vader Shins. The fact that they are different, they're not equal. The right shin is higher than the bottom shin. If you want to print your own, I'll put a link to where you can get the files because you need to pay for them. They're based on scans from found Vader Shins from an original set of shins that the guy had found that they'd scanned, so you need to pay for those, unfortunately, so I can't give you these files at all. But what I would say is I scaled mine up. I did not scale mine up width-wise, I scaled mine up in terms of height. I printed them about 9% taller. They weren't long enough. My armourer, when I originally printed them, my armourer made a comment for my old ones that they were just too short for me. So scaled them up. So that's what I've done. So it's not width-wise, because the width was perfect and they wrap around my leg beautifully. It's the height that's the issue. So what I would say is you may need some trial and error to work out what size you need. So there you go. Vader Shins. I'll put the links in the notes. But that's how you make your Vader Shins and how you strap them. It's certainly how I strapped them, having done research in how I saw them loosely done for the original film. Slightly different clips, but the same principle for sure. Friends, there you go. Vader Shins. 3D printing, making your own. The nice thing about this is how much of these cost me. Look, it's not even a roll of PLA, and they're 100% infill. It was about a quarter of a roll in reality. So we're talking a fiver, that kind of £5. The straps, it was about £6-7 for the webbing and for the clips. We're talking pennies here, really, aren't we? And that material that went on the inside, I've had that for years. So I bought a roll of it and I've been using it since. I'm not entirely sure where I could even recommend that to you from, but you'll find something similar. So all in all, I would say I've made this for less than £15. But you will pay a lot more if you end up buying some from someone else. So there you go. Actually, before we go any further, I will just say, please, if you are one of the viewers of this video and you're not subscribed, do subscribe. I'm learning from my son. Subscriptions are really important. The more people subscribe, the more people get to see your videos, and you get to reach people who want to see more of this kind of content. So please do subscribe. I would love that. Until next time, enjoy cosplaying as Vader.